So, dudes, it's official. This is the worst season of Rainbow Six Siege I've ever played. It's got nothing to do with the gameplay. It's got nothing to do with the balancing. It's got nothing to do with my favorite operator getting nerfed or something like that. It's got nothing to do with content or lack thereof. It's cheaters. Cheaters own the game right now. It's in ranked. It's in unranked. It's in quick match. The game's unplayable on PC. It is that bad. It's gotten that bad. People are reporting that in their respective elo brackets, even in quick match, you're running into cheaters. You're running into wallers. You're running into people who will blatant cheat as like a troll. More often than not, you'll run into cowards who will just hide and pretend to be good at the game. That's the more common kind of cheats these days. Because it's a flex. It's some kind of badge of honor. And it is. It is a badge of honor to rank up highly in this game because it's a very, very difficult game to learn and an even harder game to master. So where does that leave somebody like me who, well, I don't make a living off of it anymore, but I used to make a living off of teaching people how to play the game. So it puts me in a pretty difficult position, doesn't it? Because how the hell am I going to revive a YouTube channel about informational Siege content when the market has been destroyed by lack of desire to even want to get better at the game? Why would you want to learn how to get better at a game when there is no point in gaining anything? You obtain nothing by getting better at this game. Your experience gets worse the better you get because the more frequent the cheater games become. Now, we've spent a long time arriving to this road, but what makes it hurt the most, we rolled out the red carpet. I got flown out to Atlanta. It was an incredible experience. It was a formative experience that I will keep memories of forever. I truly, truly enjoyed my time at the Siege X showcase in Atlanta. It was a tremendously enjoyable experience. And it sucks because I really thought like everything was possible for this game from that point on. We were so confident with the release of Siege X that not only was this going to breathe a new breath of fresh air into the game's population, it was also going to boost morale. It was going to bring new people to the table. With the game going free to play, it was going to be a massive, massive influx of people and a growth opportunity for our community to show people how amazing this game is, the most involved, in-depth, and complex, to a point that I find enjoyable, tactical shooter experience on the market today. And the only way that we could pull this off is if we dealt with the cheater war, is if we dealt with the cheater crisis. And I think the word crisis is apt. I think it is appropriate to describe the situation this game is in. Because this is the worst cheater wave of Rainbow Six I have ever seen. I have talked about it in the past and said it's pretty bad, but it was one of those things where you could kind of ignore it if you didn't get to really high elo brackets. If you weren't hovering around champ, then yeah, you probably weren't going to run into a lot of cheaters, and that was natural, right? Obviously, statistically speaking, the people who were cheating are the most likely to just like blaze on through the distribution and then end up, 2-3 standard deviations away from the mean. But now, It's clear that it is pervasive throughout the entire population. And we were confident that whatever we were cooking with R6 Shield Guard was going to be enough to make going free to play here worth it. Now, you might look at this and go, well, the free to play component doesn't really affect ranked because you can just buy a new account, right? You still have to pay to enter the door. I understand that. That's true. But the fact that people are even talking about this in Quick Match is unbelievable. And the worst part about that is that I think that it has a compounding effect. I think that people realize that they can get away with it in Quick Match, and then they get addicted to the thrill of it. And then they want to buy a ranked account to hack on. And then they'll cheat on that ranked account. Essentially, I think it creates a reciprocating effect. I think that marketing these cheats is obviously going quite well. People are making a lot of money doing this crap. And they've killed the game, essentially. All the Siege X hype that I got in my algo has flatlined just about completely. And I can say, you know, it's season fatigue, right? I rode the wave for a bit, and then there's naturally going to be a fall off that comes with every season. But I was really under the impression that Siege X was going to put a lot more wind in our sails. And I think the reason that we've lost some of that hype, this is just my hypothetical, is because of the cheaters. I really think it has made the game unenjoyable to play for just about everybody. It's become this like playground for people to just fuck around with these cheats with. And that doesn't include the other technical bugs that we've had to deal with. We had a weird OBS thing where people could see players. We could use OBS to give people wall hacks that had to get patched out. There was a castle bug from, I'm gonna slow down for a second and hold your hand while I say this, okay? There was a castle bug from like 2018 that resurfaced with this live patch where Castle could eliminate the lobby. He could destroy the lobby and end the game for everybody. He could tactical nuke the lobby. That was a bug that goes back to 2018. Did you hear me? 2018. And somehow it came back this time around. So here's where I stand with all of this. I've made a reputation of politeness with Ubisoft. I understand that. I go into conversations with Ubisoft, oftentimes with firmness, but I try to give the dev team the benefit of a doubt. Because at the end of the day, I understand that corporate and the programmers, right, the engineering team, the coders, the animators, the art team, right, those people ultimately are part of a bigger picture, and they're not necessarily calling the top-down, day-to-day decisions. But I'm just more confused by anything. That's the part that gets me. I don't know what was in Rainbow Six Shield Guard, engineering-wise, coding-wise. I don't know shit about programming. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to develop a game. But I don't know how to build a bridge. And I still would like engineers to make sure that the bridge doesn't collapse. Now, that's a more extreme example. But there are examples of us delegating trust, delegating authority to people based off of expertise all the time throughout our life. That's how human beings work. You get one life, and you usually get, one thing to get really good at. And that's kind of how it goes. That's the one thing you usually spend most of your day occupied with. Hence the word occupation. Well, right now, I have absolutely no reason to believe that anything in R6 Shield Guard was enough to deal with what has happened recently. And what is strange to me is that for a time period, it was looking like it was working. I don't know what they were doing during Twin Shells, Collision Point and Operation Prep Phase. That 9-month stint, that was some of the most fun I've ever played. I loved the game during that time period. I absolutely played the shit out of it every single day, and I never got tired of it. And then towards the end of Operation Prep Phase, it started to get a little dicey, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here, but we'll see what happens when Siege X drops. We'll see what happens with R6 Shield Guard. And then it got worse. So what changed? What happened between then and now? What specifically took place? I have absolutely no idea. But it's not my job to figure that out. That's Ubisoft's job. And Ubisoft was extremely confident. I mean, they came out and they had everybody come out on the stage multiple times. Alex, who I love, great guy. But he goes out in front of these big, he's the face of the game, right? Him and Joshua Mills and Chris, they go out there and they put their faces on it and they say that we're working on this. We're going to dedicate time to every single opportunity that we're on camera to talking about cheaters, because we know that this is when the most amount of people are watching, is during these Pro League games, for these season updates, for these season overviews. Smart idea. Communication is important, but it can't just be communication. It has to be communication plus results. It has to be both. Just one of them, communication on its own, is never enough. Results speak for themselves. If you don't communicate and then you come up with a solution and you fix it and you have results, people will forgive you for not communicating later. But they won't forgive you if you communicate, if you just talk and then nothing happens. And this is where we're at. It could be the most understandable, it could be the most egregious, unbelievably difficult situation at Ubisoft HQ to deal with the cheater thing. But it doesn't matter. It won't matter. People aren't going to hear it because Ubisoft is not just one person. It's not a couple of people in a basement. It is a massive multi-million-dollar corporation that is publicly traded, and they have developed Hollywood blockbuster titles that go back to our childhood. Assassin's Creed. Right? They're the Assassin's Creed guys. What the hell? Something is not clicking here. Something is not working. Something is fundamentally wrong with what the team in Montreal is working with, and I do not believe that we have a really good idea of what is going on. I'm not saying that we can't take an educated guess, but I do not believe, based off of what I've seen, I do not believe that we know the full story. I do not believe Ubisoft, equal parts at Montreal, from devs and corporate, I do not believe Ubisoft has told us what is really going on. I do not believe that they have been fully transparent with their community. Because for them to be this confident going into Siege X's launch and for it to drop this catastrophically bad tells me that they didn't know that it was going to be this bad, or that they were guessing, that they were anticipating that it wasn't going to be this bad and really hoping, crossing their fingers like this better work. And some people won't even be that charitable. I know a lot of people are going to say it in the comments down below. I know how people feel about Ubisoft. I know how people feel about multi-million-dollar gaming corporations just in general these days. People aren't going to be charitable. And why should they be? We've been given no reason to think that this situation is under control. Zero. I don't know whose fault it is, but it's somebody's fault. It's fucking heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking seeing something that I've spent 10 years working on fall apart. I have been involved in this game as a culture, as a community, as a sport to study and practice and get better at. It's something that's a part of me in the same way that somebody might treat soccer or football or racing a fast car. It's a part of me. And if it were to just like that, for what? Engineering problems? Infrastructure problems? Ubisoft Corporate has more than enough cash. They have more than enough assets. Money makes the motherfucking world go round. I know for a fact that they can throw as much fucking money as they want at this. And I'm sure that they would get somewhere. So why haven't they? That's the question that's on everybody's mind. It is heartbreaking to see the game in this state. And I don't know what else to say. I sincerely hope that Ubisoft can figure it out. I sincerely believe that it's not over until it's over. But people need to start preparing themselves for the idea that the cheaters, without legal recourse like they have it in Korea, for example, or without something that is much more compromising on your digital privacy, like with Riot Vanguard and Valorant, either one of those two things or a combination of both, people are going to have to make a tough decision. Do you want to give up your data privacy to play a competitive shooter? And I think in the United States, I don't think there is nearly as much of a pull for that sort of thing for PC, tac shooter, sheesh, community bros. Those guys are around. But in America, that's just not the prevailing cultural zeitgeist. Especially in the gaming space. People are more pissed off with live service games than they've ever been in their life. Why shouldn't they be? I think people need to prepare themselves for the idea that cheaters will kill, potentially. 5v5, tactical, shoot, bang, plant the bomb to win. It might just fucking happen. Life comes at you hard and fast. I don't envy Ubisoft's position. I'm sorry I had to make this video. I'm truly sorry. Good luck. Deuces.